Hi guys, in this section we are going to talk about the testing and the testability part of it, the QA architecture. So now what is QA? This is a quality assurance. So once you are out of the integration, the basic things what we have spoken still now, then comes the factor of the testing and the testability. So all system must be thoroughly tested. Hope you agree with that. Now testing includes multiple forms of test such as unit, integration, load performance, scale, soak test. So to support this kind of different tests, the system must be able to support the concept of testability. So testing here is very important, right? So I will just quickly enable the pointer option so that I can do the pen. Okay, so we are talking about this part of the story. Okay, now what are the actions you want to take when you come to the QA architecture? So from the non-functional viewpoint, you need to remember that testing will be the key part also that needs to be covered in your non-functional requirements, and you start looking from QA architecture. These are the points you need to remember. So you need to ensure that the various types of testing are implemented and conducted for both the initial system architecture and for the capabilities that are added as the system evolves over time, right? You deliver a product, it's come to production, but then the product keeps growing over time and your testing also change, your regression pack change. So based on those things, you need to start thinking. Now consider that how these tests can be automated. In today's world, it's not just manual testing, we're doing automation testing. What part of the system can be automated? What part of the system will be manual tested? So as a part of the continuous integration or the continuous delivery, so I'm talking about the CI/CD pipeline, which most of you must be aware today. From the testability viewpoint, when you are integrating our system from this level, you start thinking that in the pipeline, what are the testing packs which I can automate and put it into through Ansible. Say for example, you will trigger those testing while the pipeline is getting ready, right? So when you produce the architecture for a system, consider how it can be designed to facilitate the various type of testing. So that's why in the functional I am saying that what are the things you need to, if there is a bug, whether you are going to use a different tool, if you are going for unit testing, what are the tools you are going to use. So you may start writing the code and you are saying the programmers to do the JUnit for every line of code they have written in their program. You may start looking into the performance testing, how your system will perform in a particular kind of, say, 100 users simultaneously accessing, what will be the performance. So you start looking into the integration systems, you start looking at load runner, you start injecting 1000 users, 10,000 users or 1 lakh users or more and to see the performance testing. So what are the performance parameter? You start drafting it in your NFRs, right? So these NFRs are very important. Then you are also going to see the profiling part of it. You're going to see that what are the places where you are maintaining this NFR in your quality centers, how you are going to validate those. Anyway, I will come to that section, that how you will be drafting or where you will be keeping those things. But before that, in the QA architecture, I wanted to mention that during producing of the architecture, you need to consider this kind of design of the facilities that needs to be provided to support those NFRs, right? You are doing a benchmarking testing. What does that mean? Say for example, you are in a product which is delivering to the end users and delivering the results in a fraction of seconds, say 10 seconds for that matter. Now, you need to ensure that it is reaching to the customer, the result. So they are querying for some product and that product description is reaching to your customer within that 10 seconds time. Now how will you start testing? You will do the development. Then when you are promoting to the next level, so for example, you are promoting to system testing and then to the UAT. Before it goes to UAT, you start looking at the system testing and start, okay, if an end user hits the button and then it goes to the database or to a integration layer where through an API it is giving a call, whatever it does, if it has to go through API, then go to the database, then fetch the data, come back to the API layers, and then come back to the front end where your UI is there, all these things should be happen within that 10 seconds time. Is it increasing? Is it decrease? Now say for example in system testing you are getting 6 seconds, but it may increase in the production. You have to take a benchmark. Why it may increase? Because the production data can be 10 million users who is sitting, but your system testing is having 1 million users. So the result may vary, but you still need to take a benchmark testing to ensure the customers knows that what kind of product you are going to promote to production even before it is signed off. So those NFRs are very important to your systems. Okay, then and this should be considered as a very important architectural concern. So when you make any kind of architectural decision or a PA decision, you need to consider what effect it has on the testability. So be sure to work closely with the test engineers on a project to determine how to address this concern. Okay, keeping that in mind, let us move to the next section. Sorry, one more thing before I move. I just want to classify that how these systems during the testing you can break so that it is easy for you to derive the non-functional requirements. So you can basically break it into UI testing in case you want to break it and then find it. It will be easier for you to find out. Okay, from the testing guys you get that. Then you can also look into the contract-driven testing. Then automate your test for the continuous delivery can be given to a DevOps team and talk to them and then find out how things are coming up, and then find out that whether your software resiliency testing should be performed like that through the team whenever or whatever phase you are in the software. Based upon that you have to take a decision, right? Now example, say for example you are using UI testing. Now in the UI, what are the kind of tests you should be doing? Those needs to be documented from the NFR viewpoint. Okay, it's not about only functional requirement. I'm not at all talking about the functional part of it. I'm talking about the non-functional part of it. Okay, although you are doing a TDD or test-driven design these days, but you still need to make sure that the UI is responding, or an UI which is talking to an integration layer is responding within certain amount of seconds. What are the web components that are entitled or are integrated into the system or into your UI which is giving call to the external world? Those sort of things you need to find out how you can test your web components as well as the HTML components or the CSS, whatever it is included, whether you are using Angular, whether you are using React, whatever it is, right? So it can be a top-down approach, it can be a bottom-up approach, but you need to find out based upon the design patterns of that particular technology. You need to start documenting the non-functional requirements. Next comes your performance. As I said you, whether the tool can be different, we were just talking about the windrunner. I mean, we have seen loadrunner, windrunner, this sort of tools, but it all will vary. What happened to my mouse? Just a second. Yep. So this is the windrunner part of it. This is the loadrunner part of it. So these are the tools which will be giving you different kind of testing, where you know that what is the resiliency of your software. I mean, traditionally what happens, your test scenario are based on the typical product usage pattern, but to expose the software flaws, you also have to gracefully handle an unstable situation, isn't it? So if an error occurs, if an exception occurs, if an unpredictable hardware failure occurs, now how you are responding to the backend or the people who are using the front end is what all matters. So in the long run, these are very important. So in the system phase, you can start checking those sort of things and put it into the NFR's part of it. Okay. Now comes the backward compatibility. You can see that this is also a key important point. Today you are using many browsers. The browsers are getting upgraded. Somebody is supporting React, somebody is supporting Angular, somebody is supporting some other things. So you need to understand the product which you are building, which has to be at least 5 to 10 years down the line, should be supporting whether those products will have the backward compatibility in it or not. Say for example, earlier there was Java applets. Today these Java applets are no way supported, and Java has stopped supporting those kind of things. So what is happening is you need to make sure that whatever components you are designing, you are building up for the future, whether that is going to support, that is going to have the backward compatibility or not. The browser support is equally the same context, but here you need to do a cross. Say you are writing some JavaScript and that get executed only in IE or only in Edge, and it does not support in Google Chrome, but you are writing something which is supported in Google Chrome, does not support in Edge or IE. So that sort of cross-browser compatibility with Firefox or any other browsers, Safari or any other platforms, whatever browsers you are going to support, whether that is documented or not, whether you are sure that this will be the NFRs from the browser support viewpoint, from the backward compatibility viewpoint or not, is something you need to remember. So those will be coming in your quality factor. This is the overall things, how the user acceptance is happening in general for a product or a project, whatever you are doing. Your testing methodology is coming here, but NFR should not be missed when you are doing this. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we will not stretch what all these are. You must be aware about that, the functional part of it. So we will go to the next section and start looking into things how in reality you will be start applying these NFRs. So overall, from first chapter to now, what we have covered is more of that what comes to your mind when you are in QA architecture, when you are in integration architecture, when you are in business architecture. So this is it's not about only architecture, it's about the phase of the project. I tend to use architecture as a word, but what I meant by this, in every phase of your project, you need to remember the NFR cannot be missed out, and that creates a lot of trouble once the product is in production and you start looking things from the beginning, and it may be very late for you to fix those things if you don't have that elasticity, that scalability, that kind of built in your product from the beginning. In fact, say for example, today we are dealing with petabytes of data, and if you are not sure that how your product can grow and how you will scale up that petabytes, maybe if not petabytes, terabytes is for sure you are going to deal with any product what you are building today. So if you are not dealing with that, if you are not checking that, if you are not sure that how your NFRs are going to be getting supported eventually over the period by looking at the growth of your product, then we are into trouble. Okay, so keeping those in mind, let us go to the next section and see what are the key things we will be performing to derive at this kind of NFRs. Okay, this is just an help, or I will say this will definitely help you to understand that what all you should start looking into. Okay, thank you and see you in the next chapter.